Hello, friends, and welcome to another tabletop adventure from Queen's Court Games. My name is Alex, and tonight we will be continuing our story through Shane Ivey's Extremophilia. This is going to be episode 2 in our series, so if you have not already seen episode 1, I would recommend that you go back and check it out so you don't get too many spoilers and you know what's going on. You can catch up with the story either on YouTube or on our podcast, One Shots and Other Mischief. As always, if you would like the links to information about the scenario or about our cast, you can go ahead and type !scenario or !cast to get that information. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast app, you can find that information in the show notes for the episode. Tonight, I will be joined in our mission by our wonderfully talented group of performers who will be playing our agents this evening. And then beginning with our FBI case officer, we have Agent Neem, played by Pooja.
Hello, hello.
Next, playing the muscle of our group, Agent Hemlock, it's Killian.
Hello, hello.
Next, we have our burnt out med student who really didn't want to be here for any of this. It's Agent Sage, played by Abbigail.
Hello, hello.
And finally, last but certainly not least, playing our hacker and technological engineer, it's Agent Rosewater, played by QCG's very own Aubrey.
Hello.
Excellent, excellent. All right, everybody. Before we do begin on our part 2 of our story tonight, please do know that Delta Green is an adult horror game and may contain some elements that viewers may find uncomfortable or objectionable, including blood, gore, body horror, drug and alcohol use, eating disorders, gun violence, medical horror, mind control, and paralysis. Please consult the full list of content warnings by typing !safety in the chat or looking in the show notes. The cast and myself have gone through a safety and consent questionnaire. We have discussed these and other topics in our session 0, as well as between the first session and now. All of us have agreed to hold ourselves accountable to a code of conduct that will ensure our table remains a safe and respectful environment for collaborative storytelling. All right, everybody, now that we have gotten all that taken care of, let's go ahead and get back into our story. As our story opens up, we see a hotel room, same one that we saw in the previous session. And one of the 2 twin-size beds is Agent Hemlock, who is tossing and turning. They had the covers over them at one point, but they certainly don't right now. The only light in the room comes from a digital clock showing 11:54. The camera zooms in to that time and then zooms back out to show a clock displaying the same time, but in a completely different place. As we start to see a little bit better, we can see a thick eggshell white paint on the wall behind the clock. As we zoom out, we see rows upon rows of freezers containing bodies. We hear the buzz of the fluorescent lights as the camera pans back, and we see a man bent over an operating table with one of the cadavers on the gurney. We get a little bit closer, and we can see that the body that is being worked on is the body of the deputy, Fred Jacobs. We see a man cutting into his body. We don't see much of his face aside from his eyes and his brow. The rest of it is covered up with a surgical mask. But we do read a look of confusion and maybe a little bit of a look of unease as we see him examining the stomach. Looking down at it, we can't tell the difference, but it is safe to say that he most certainly can. We see him take a sample from it and go over to a microscope. He starts to look through the scope and stops a moment to start coughing and wipe sweat from his brow. He looks back through the scope, and we can tell by his brow that more of a look of confusion and even a little bit of a start of fear crosses his face. He then quickly steps back up, gets rid of the glass that had the sample on it, and then quickly wheels the body back into its freezer after covering it back up. As the door slams, we go back to Agent Hemlock sleeping in their room. And we zoom in a little bit to see what exactly is keeping Agent Hemlock awake. Or rather, what is plaguing Agent Hemlock in their sleep. Agent Hemlock, you are in the midst of a nightmare. And I will ask this of you. What is a moment in your life that you truly felt alone? Not just from people leaving you, not just from being outside of a crowd or anything else like that. This can even be something that happened in your childhood. But a moment when you really felt like there was nobody there to support you. That you had nothing.
When I got pregnant at 17, and my family wasn't happy about it, but my boyfriend and I were. And then at about the start of the 3rd trimester, he was in a car accident and he was killed, and suddenly I was doing everything on my own.
Were you living at home at that time?
No, my parents had kicked me out. I was in a crappy trailer in a trailer park with him, where I stayed until I managed to get into college for psychology, and I had a great roommate that wasn't going to school, and she watched Ella for me while I did that, and she eventually became my rock and was an aunt to Ella in all the ways that mattered, while I went about my career in the military after college.
Excellent. Okay. Well, where you are in your dream is in that trailer. Prior to anybody else entering into your life, you are you as you know yourself now. And you look around the trailer. I will assume that it's kept up a decent amount to be homely, things like that. But at least it was at one point. It's not anymore. Now it looks like water damage and mold and age have affected it. Part of the ceiling above the kitchen is gone. The door sags on its hinges and opens to a dark night outside, where you hear a person in the midst of a struggle.
I go to a window, and if there's still a curtain there, flick it to the side and see what's going on.
Sure. So you flick the curtain and part of it disintegrates. But that doesn't really matter so much. What you do see through the mold-covered glass, mold and dirt, is a figure of a person in a lab coat who seems to be furiously digging in the ground outside. You can't really tell what exactly they're doing, but they are definitely trying to get into the ground to get to something.
I'll walk out through the door and, before approaching, kind of call out, "What's going on over there? Everything okay?"
Sure. When you say it at first, leaving the trailer, you don't get a response. As you draw closer, you see that the person who is digging is a young woman. You can only see the back of her, but her hair does look familiar. Are you going to try and engage her again?
I'll walk up and put a hand on her shoulder.
Sure. Agent Sage, somebody has put a hand on your shoulder, and you are in the midst of digging into the ground.
I turn around and look at... Oh! What's going on? What are you... She looks at her like...
Sage, are you okay?
Are you okay?
I don't know. I think it's a dream, but I'm not sure.
Agent Sage, are you going to examine your surroundings? Prior to this moment, this is the first thing you can actually cognitively remember or have any say in.
Yeah, I'm absolutely going to look around.
Okay. You look around and you don't see anything. It's like you are in some sort of void. But the thing that you are going to focus on, and the thing that inevitably wakes you up, is that you look down and your fingernails are gone. You have been violently digging into the ground, and your hands are stained with some sort of metal alloy. When you actually realize this, you do wake up in your hotel room. But before we get to that point, Agent Hemlock, Agent Sage has just disappeared right before your eyes after screaming and has been replaced with a figure of your daughter Ella standing there at 8 years old in her favorite dress that you got her for her birthday.
I'll rush forward towards her and kneel in front of her and put a hand on her cheek. Ella, I've missed you.
When you
I know this isn't real, but
when you try to speak to her, you don't get a response. What you do see, though, is her eyes seem to glow a little bit. And as you take stock of your surroundings in this moment, you can see that it's from a lamp, like a light post behind her, and the light is shining through the cavity of her skull through her eyes. And then when you come to that realization, she looks up at you, opens her mouth, and then a dial tone kind of oozes from her mouth and increases in volume. And then you also wake up. However, you don't get to wake up in your room. You are in the car, in the driver's seat. Does Agent Hemlock wear anything to bed?
oh, I fully laid down in just the towel that I had showered in.
Okay.
Or after I dried off with.
Did you tie the towel around yourself or just kind of like fold it in?
It was like tucked, but
Okay.
I'm sure
That
sleep.
came off about midway through the parking lot. So you are just sitting nude in the car at 5 o'clock in the morning.
This is not. Fuck. What? Can't be losing time. No, not now. This is an important mission. All right, take stock. Are there any of the FBI raid jackets that we left in the car?
I think it's safe to say that there is something that you could find to not necessarily put on, but kind of throw over yourself in a quick pinch. There's only maybe a couple people that might see you. So it's up to you. You can also stay in the car and try to get everybody's attention, whatever you choose to do.
Do I have a room key on me?
You do not.
Don't have a phone. Is the vehicle capable of... Does it have a satellite phone in it? Since we requisitioned it from the military.
No, it doesn't have anything like that. It's a pretty bare bones thing, and you know well enough not to keep your phone in the car or any of your valuables. That's how you get your car broken into. So no, you don't have anything like that.
All right. Gotta wrap the closest thing and the most covering thing around myself and go for the closest room of one of my teammates.
Okay, go ahead and roll me a d6 and tell me what the number is that you get.
3.
3? That would be Agent Sage. Agent Sage, somebody is slamming on your front door. You were just awoken from a nightmare. It's 5 o'clock in the fucking morning. What are you gonna do?
I'm a 9 a.m. class girly. This is not fun.
Agent Sage, help!
Oh no! Agent Sage immediately goes to the door once she hears the intimidating voice of Agent Hemlock, who she just saw in a nightmare.
So you open the door to Agent Hemlock in nothing but an FBI raid jacket wrapped around her midsection.
Sage just wordlessly opens the door a little wider and steps a little out of the way for you to come into the room.
So maybe you could go up to the office and try and get another key to my room. I woke up in the car after a weird dream, and now I have no clothes, no key, nothing.
Okay, now. Okay, I will go to the front desk, see if there's anyone there. You can just stay in here. I'll be right back.
Thank you.
No problem.
Agent Neem and Agent Rosewater, I don't assume this of you, but maybe I'm wrong. Are either of you the kind of people that wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and are ready to go for the day? No.
Absolutely not. It's like noon is early for Rosewater.
All right. Well,
Neem is the morning person in that they're awake in the morning.
Mm-hmm. Is it safe to say that you would be
speak
cognizant?
to me.
Yeah. Would you be cognizant at 5 o'clock in the morning?
I think if there's any kind of if you're yelling and banging on the door,
Mhm.
2 doors down, then yes, I would wake up to that.
Okay. So, yeah.
But
I was trying to whisper yell, but I was probably louder than I thought I was.
This is also a cheap motel where the walls are not that thick. So, yes, you do hear a commotion outside. You can choose to leave it alone or go check it out. It's up to you.
yeah, I'm gonna go check it out. Because
Okay.
what the fuck?
I think it's safe to say of you, and correct me if I'm wrong, the speed that you are to get out of bed when this starts is probably the moment you probably exit the door when Agent Sage is halfway to the office. Am I correct? Or are you up the minute you hear something?
Let's say halfway to the office. That's fine.
Okay, sure. So yeah, you exit the door and you see Agent Sage. I'm not really sure what state you would be in, kind of quickly walking towards the office.
Just barefoot in her pajamas, which consist of a baggy t-shirt and pajama shorts.
Sage, what the fuck is going on?
Hemlock's in my room. They lost
What you do on your own time is your own business.
That's not it. Hemlock came to my room and oh no, I need to say this fast enough so that you don't make assumptions.
I mean, the assumptions are made.
No, but this isn't gonna help. So Hemlock came to my room without any clothes on, and Hemlock came to my room without any clothes on, except the FBI jacket, and then said that they woke up in the car like that.
Oh.
I'm gonna go get, they don't have their room key, so I'm gonna go see if the office can get that.
Maybe you should have put on some shoes at least?
No, I don't. I thought I didn't have time to do that, but now that we've paused and had this conversation, I see that I probably did. But it's okay. I'm just gonna keep going now.
Excellent. So I will say you do make it to the office. The same teenage boy is in there from before. He was watching something that he quickly turned off when you entered in. Don't really know what, but that's okay. Maybe Agent Neem would have been able to figure it out, but that's all right.
Maybe Agent Neem has had enough internet porn conversations for one lifetime.
This is true. Suffice to say, the kid doesn't care. He gives you a key. He says to bring it back. Maybe it's a master key. Not really sure, but he will say you do manage to open up Agent Hemlock's room. I will ask you all, that's pretty much where we'll end the weird stuff for the morning. What is everybody's morning routine as we're getting ready here? This motel ain't got no breakfast. They maybe have a pack of Pop-Tarts that might be like 1 or 2 years expired. But yeah, I will ask, what is everybody's kind of morning looking like before they get started and go in here? Would you like me to go around? Would that be easier? Okay. Agent Rosewater, you need to wake up before noon in this case. So we're going to say it's about 8 o'clock in the morning when your alarm goes off. What does your day, start to your day look like?
It is turning off the alarm, laying in bed for about 10 minutes as I try to find the energy to get up. And once I do, it's, I don't particularly want to take a shower, so I kind of skip that. It's like deodorant and dry shampoo. Something about this place is just like, and it may be the fact that I live in a nice apartment, and it's just kind of like, no. But after that, it's if we had time to, like, before we got here, like, make a quick stop by somewhere and pick up like basic supplies.
What in your mind is basic supplies?
Energy drinks. Energy drinks. Just sort of start the day off with one of those as I get dressed in very much the same ensemble as yesterday of leggings, crop t-shirt, crop hoodie, Converse, sunglasses, just to kind of cover the fact that I'm not hungover, but I look like I might as well be from waking up this early. Before walking out and just being like, what the fuck's going on?
Is Agent Rosewater, what kind of energy drink is Agent Rosewater? Is she a monster girly, a rock star? What are we talking about?
It's a monster. Yeah. It's one of the white cans.
I've seen so many people like this in my life. I know exactly what.
I am one of these people. I know exactly what flavor you're talking about.
Excellent. So perfect. We're there. We know exactly. It's like we've seen Agent Rosewater this morning. Excellent. Yep. Perfect. So you start to get ready. And then we're going to go over to Agent Hemlock. I'm pretty sure that you probably didn't go back to sleep after that.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I'm usually up at 5:30 in the morning anyways, so it's not too much earlier than I would have woken up after getting back into my room and making sure that Agent Sage did not get locked out of hers coming back. I do go in, and before I start my daily routine, I kind of sit on the bed for a minute and just deep breaths, calming techniques that I learned in the military. Weird dreams happen. It doesn't mean anything. You're fine. You haven't slept walk since you were about 6, but we'll deal with that. Does eventually get up, get dressed, black jeans, black t-shirt, same black leather vest, puts on the aviators, and goes and walks out knowing that probably nobody else is up, and finds black coffee.
Of course. So, we'll say you do get through all that. Maybe you are rationalizing to yourself the fact that you haven't slept walk since you were a child. The thing that's a little bit alarming to you is, while you haven't slept walk since you're a child, I'm pretty sure you haven't been able to sleep unlock a car while you were a child, or sleep.
Who did? Oh no, I drove, so I at least had the keys. Were the keys in the vehicle with me?
Yes, they were in the vehicle with you. Okay. You also, if you go back out to the vehicle, you will find that you also sleep loaded your sidearm.
I probably noticed that it was. I would have noticed it wasn't in my room and gone out to look for that.
Yeah, it's in the car. It's loaded. And the safety is off, and the round is chambered.
Oh, let's unchamber that. Let's unload this. Gun in the holster. Bullets in the God. Cartridge?
also-
Is that what?
It's you would most likely have like a couple little spots on your holster where you could fit a couple
Yeah.
extras. You would keep this
Yeah.
most likely unloaded.
I'm trying
most
to
of the
remember
time.
what it's
Yeah.
actually called. What it's
It's okay. We can go with holster. We're not that big of
well,
gun
like the
nerds.
cartridge. Like, is it the
The
cartridge
clip.
of bullets? Is
Clip.
clip? Thank
Yes.
you. Okay.
Yes.
Puts the gun in her holster, and then the clip in the spot that it was missing from, and then goes in search of coffee.
Sure. So we'll say you do all that, and you're just gonna kind of put that in the back of your mind. It is a little bit concerning, again, because you probably likely would not have loaded your sidearm unless you were going into a situation where you would have needed it. You were not at a threat at any point, so probably by your training would not have had it loaded and especially not chambered and ready to go. So that's a little bit concerning.
All I
but
can say is at least it wasn't fired.
not that you can tell. All right, Agent Sage, are you going back to sleep after that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Perfect. Well, let's say you also wake up at about 8 o'clock is when your alarm actually goes off.
Yeah. I think she has like a set of alarms, like from 6 a.m. all the way to 8. And she will always take the last one. And she basically just rolls out of bed, puts on her sweatshirt and pants. I think from the dream and just the extra emphasis on the metal alloy on her fingertips and stuff, I think that was a really good reminder to not mess with the water here. And so she just dry shampoos and has some water from the water bottle, and she's gonna ask if they can go to a gas station or something to get one of those bottled Starbucks frappuccinos that's mostly sugar.
Okay. Well, you can there is like a little Circle K basically right around the corner.
Wonderful.
So you have the choice of mocha or a questionable looking vanilla.
I'll do the mocha, the bottled mocha.
You gonna eat any kind of food?
Probably just like a packaged road snack, like a Nature Valley bar, like the worst thing to have in a car. But she'll take that.
And as you open that up, it's one of the bars is already disintegrated and manages to go
Perfect.
everywhere. You know.
Too real.
It's too real.
Yeah, you're gonna be finding those for the rest of the fucking mission.
Yes.
Like dog hair. But all right, as you ingest your bar that maybe at one point was fresh, it's not expired, but well before it was supposed to have been taken off the shelf like a month ago. Not expired, but lost its freshness. When you actually eat it, your stomach doesn't feel great. Like it churns a little bit. Not to the point where you get sick, but you do notice a slight difference than what your usual morning is like.
Well, then I'll do the right thing, which is drink some bottled coffee and sugar to calm that. And
I won't say it makes it better, but we'll say it doesn't necessarily make it much worse. So, but you're gonna be carrying that feeling a little bit today. Not enough to make you not want to eat things or anything else, but it is like this. Like if you get airsick or something like that and it just stays with you for the whole day kind of thing, that kind of feeling.
all right.
And so, Agent Neem, we established that you had woken up, seen Agent Sage go into the other room. Did you go back to bed when you went back into your room, or what is your morning?
I think Agent Neem tries to go back to sleep, but it's one of those people that once I'm up, it's just laying there annoyed for an hour and then just gives up.
Mm-hmm.
And I get up and do it's the kind of physical fitness routine that you would see 85-year-old people do. Octogenarians do this kind of fitness routine in the morning. It's must make sure nothing breaks during the day. at bare minimum.
That's a very real thing. I completely understand doing endurability workouts in the morning because you're going to bend over once and your back's just going to get thrown out on something random. I understand.
And it's definitely like a routine that I didn't come up with this myself. Like, it was like that 2 weeks from retirement agent was like, you know, on my first mission was like, this is the most important thing I'm going to teach you.
I mean,
I just took it at face value and I've been doing it ever since.
they are not wrong. It is very important, especially depending on how old they were. Like, you get out of bed in the morning, you ain't going to be very spry first thing. So definitely would help. All right. Do you eat anything in the morning? Are you the kind of person that has breakfast, or?
I had... So my backpack is packed with, like, weird shit. Like, I bought one of the gas stations out of packs of beef jerky on the way into town.
Mm-hmm.
And so I eat one of those, and I follow Sage to the Circle K to get some kind of, like, canned caffeine. Not the sugary one, I think. I think I'm gonna look for either, like, might even end up with a muscle milk that, like, has caffeine in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not a good choice, but it's not the worst choice.
Yeah, like those bubblies that have caffeine or whatever. So you're not going to go full bore like, I'm going to get the sugar-free energy drink because it's healthy, which is about the equivalent of ordering peppers on pizza and saying that it's healthy. But it's fine.
It's vegetables. What do you want from it?
It is a vegetable, I suppose, as is the tomatoes. So it's fine. Right. Who am I to judge? Even though I do that.
So attacked right now.
I'm only saying things that are true of myself. All right. Well, now that everybody's gotten their morning started up, who is going to be the one who's going to go in and bang on doors to get everybody to actually get the hell outside?
I imagine that Hemlock gets back about the same time that Sage and Neem do from their Circle K trip, where she has probably walked a solid 5 miles at this point, finding a decent place to get a black cup of coffee, forgetting that she shouldn't drink the water. And then walking back and meets up with them out in front of the hotel, and then we're just missing Rosewater.
Well, I'm pretty sure, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Agent Rosewater, you're probably not going to leave unless you're told to. Is that correct?
Yeah, somebody's gonna come and just like bang on the door and be like, "We're going," and then it's finally I emerge, stumbling out, messenger bag over my shoulder, monster in hands.
You are going to look like the most threatening FBI agent possible. They would probably mistake you for like a college student who's just wandered in, except for the gigantic fuck off badge that's hanging off of your messenger bag. Living that NCIS lifestyle, I see.
It came for me. I did not choose it.
Excellent. Well, I'll say you all get in the car. So as far as your day goes, you were told last time that you could come back in the morning to meet with the sheriff. They would expect you. But where would you like to go?
I'm in the driver's seat, have it started, a little discombobulated still, and start to back out. I'm like, are we going to the sheriff's office first, I assume?
Probably a good idea. Just because we said we would, and, you know, we're supposed to do all the posturing that, you know, the FBI does.
Also, we can see if we can get more access to the case files and everything than y'all were able to get last night.
Yeah.
All right.
It would be a little bit weird if you didn't go there, fair enough, because then it would be like, well, how do they know where to go? How do they know what, if anything, of what's going on?
All right. doesn't turn on music at all at
Well,
this point.
That's probably not your choice. That's the passenger's choice, as they override your ability to do anything about it. Is Agent Neem again in the passenger's seat?
Yes.
Okay, what are we listening to this time?
This is my chair now.
Yeah, you take that aux cable. What are we listening to? And, that's, well, we'll see if it's 70s rock again.
No. Or 70s rock. I think it is it feels like a jazzy kind of morning.
Okay.
Like a little classic, a little like low key, but still quality.
Okay, so not quite to the level of like the noir film jazz, but, not very lively either. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Some smooth listening for a smooth morning. I get it.
I mean, basically, it's something that won't be offensive to my ears, but also means that, like, I can put it up just loud enough that no one will speak to me until the caffeine is kicked in.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Well, you all begin your nice, smooth jazz, seeming like a drinking club driving towards the sheriff's office. As you approach this station, one thing that you do notice that you didn't really see last night because it was dark is in the same parking lot, there is also a building for a Breckenridge Security, is what it says. The sign wasn't lit up last night, so it would have been kind of hard to see, but that is in the same area as where you are. But you do pull up to the sheriff's office. Looks like there's a fair amount more people in there than there were last time. Can't really get a really good look. But what would you all like? Do you want to prep anything? Do you just want to waltz right in? What do you want to do?
I don't know. I'm kind of going off what everyone else is doing.
I think
I'll get out and
like
look imposing, but I'm not doing any talking today.
Walk in like they should be expecting us, and our room should be ready.
Exactly. Perfect.
Works for me.
So yeah, you do walk in. There's a different person behind the front desk this time. They're actually there. Looks like a man who's maybe in his mid-20s. He sees you all coming in. He does. You're wearing your badges outside of your clothing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mine is pinned on the front of my messenger bag.
Tucked back in a front pocket.
I will
I've got
say,
mine on the lanyard.
I think Sage stays in the car and is like, just tell me if there's anything that I can help with. 'Cause, this isn't really my wheelhouse.
Sure.
And then she's going to fall asleep in the car.
Sage, no. If you need to be there to medical stuff.
What?
Because if we come across any medical stuff, you're the only one who's going to know what it is.
In the sheriff's department? In the sheriff's building?
Because we're going to get the files and their access and...
Okay.
Yeah. I understand, Agent Sage. You're tired. I get it. You're going to look for any opportunity to nap. I totally understand.
If I can't have a chance to nap, you don't get a chance to nap.
That is really the
spoiled my
vibe here.
Fine. She goes out.
Sleepiest FBI agent. All right. So you all enter into the building. As I said, you got a mid-20s man behind the counter. He says, looking at your badges, they're very obvious what you are. He says, oh, you were the group that Jason was talking about, right? The ones with the critical incident response FBI thing, right?
Why, yes, it's good to know that Pullman came through.
Oh yeah, he's not great for much, but he's at least keeps good notes.
He mentioned that the sheriff would be in this morning and that our room would be set up for us.
Yes, right this, or he says, yes, right this way. Oh, also, I am Sergeant Hayes. It's a pleasure to meet you all.
Hey, it's good to meet you too. I'm Neem, Hemlock, Rosewater, Sage.
Hello. Yeah, why don't you guys, I know we had the room set aside for you in the back. Go hang out in there. I know that the sheriff is here. There's also, Agent Smith, I think is her name. From I think she's from the EPA or something. And then there's some other guy who's some investigator. I'm not really sure what he is, but yeah, they're in the sheriff's office right now, so I'll have them come and see you.
Fantastic. Good man, Hayes. Good man.
All right, so Hayes leads you back into your room that you were in before. You have to wait about maybe 5 minutes before a group of people comes in. It is Sergeant Hayes from before. You see a man who's a little bit portly, a little bit of an older gentleman, probably in his 60s, wearing sheriff's attire. Does say sheriff on his clothing. You also see a woman in, she's not like, X-Files agent, like in suit and all that stuff. No, she's got on boots and looks like some sort of like overalls or something. She's probably doing something outside today would be your guess. The other person that comes in is a similarly dressed individual. Man, he's a little bit wiry. And as they introduce themselves, the individuals are Sheriff Leo Potter, EPA's Agent Alicia Smith, and the wiry gentleman addresses himself as Investigator Fultus from the Montana Department of Environmental Quality. Sheriff starts off the conversation with all of you saying, I didn't expect to see the FBI coming in here. We didn't call you guys for... Actually, frankly, I'm not really sure what y'all are doing here, given the fact that this is just a person who seems to have some sort of poisoning of... the Agent Smith here is quite confident that it's just something from the groundwater. What are y'all doing here?
I mean, it does at first glance appear that groundwater poisoning is a very, very good cover. But our system did flag it as part of an ongoing investigation that we have been tasked with following up on based on some other cases that I do not believe you have the security clearance for me to tell you details on.
When you say that, you do see the sheriff is a little bit put off by that sort of comment. Like, why shouldn't I know anything? The investigator really doesn't react very differently. The EPA officer, though, she does look a little bit intrigued by your idea.
I mean, I can't, get into too much detail, but there has been, let's say this is not the only case where it seems like someone who has no reason to be exposed to a bunch of heavy metals and might be in a position of authority, possibly law enforcement related, has been perhaps hypothetically targeted.
With that, you do see that the sheriff is admittedly shaken by such a prospect. Is that, what do you mean? Who do you think might be... Wait, have you all seen any of the information from the deputy's body?
We have, we got a base level briefing prior to coming in, but we are interested in getting more of the detailed information.
The autopsy report made it to the desk of somebody in the know, and it was fobbed off onto us.
Agent Smith says, I sent it back to the EPA offices. They probably how they saw it, I would bet. I am very interested in the idea that this could be something targeted. But regardless, actually, where is he? And she looks around and looks to Sergeant Hayes, who's still there, and you're not really sure why he's there. Asking him, where's the coroner? He was supposed to be here. And Sergeant Hayes looks at her and says, he said he wasn't able to make it today. He got sick with something. He said, though, if we needed to go to his office, that his secretary, Anna, would be there and would give us access to what we need. She says, okay, and turns back to all of you and says, I'm sorry, the specialist who would know more about the body is unfortunately feeling under the weather today, but we can take you there to get more information from that if we need to. Is that okay, Sheriff? And the Sheriff's admittedly a lot more skeptical of all this. The EPA officer is completely fine working with you because their experience was working with federal officials, and you can kind of get the air that Alicia trusts all of you enough to know that you're not going to do something weird. Sheriff, not so much. Sheriff is not cool with giving up their position of authority in an area that they feel like they have command over. And Sheriff says, "No, hold on. How do you all think of this as some sort of like criminal aspect when you haven't even seen anything other than an autopsy report?"
The state of the body matches another similar case that has come across the FBI's desk. We're not here, Sheriff. Do you mind if I call you Potter?
That's fine, man.
Potter,
That's
we're
fine.
not here to step on your toes, to shove you out of the way. I know that the FBI has a certain reputation. But all we want to do is make sure that this gets resolved in as quick a manner as possible so we can get out of your hair. And you can get back to life on the everyday and not have to worry about whether or not you're going to wake up tomorrow.
He's very not cool with the insinuation that he's he's threatened in some way, but he's not going to say that to you, especially with the fact that you are flashing a federal badge in front of him, and federal power has a lot of say over such things. Or can
Agent
have a lot of
Hemlock
say.
is absolutely like leaning against the wall, pulls down the aviators a little bit, and just dead eye stares at him until he backs down.
I will say that he doesn't necessarily back up, but he definitely softens a little bit because he realized that he's just being obstinate for no reason, kind of thing. And ultimately, if he gives you the information that you seek and can prove that it's not something that you have jurisdiction over, the faster you will get out. So he says, "You know what? It's fine. What do you all need?"
Well, Rosewater here is our gal with the computer know-how. And if you could hook her up with access to your systems and authority to pull the files that y'all have been doing, I hear Pullman said y'all have been working real hard on getting to the root of this, so it would be a shame to disregard all the work that y'all have been doing when you're so, obviously have been here and on the ground and everything already. So if we could have access to that, head
Sure.
over to the coroner, see what there is to see. Honestly, medicine isn't my strong suit. I couldn't even tell you what's going on in that body. Couldn't even tell you what's going on in my own body. But then, we'll go around, talk to some people, just make sure that things are on the up and up.
All right, we can do that. Just hang out here for a second. I'll go get Terry. The sheriff turns to Sergeant Hayes and tells him to go get Terry. He then turns back to all of you and says, if you need me, you can find me in my office. I'll be attempting to clean up this mess as best I can. And he leaves, and the other two also leave. You could come back to talk to them. I guess this was mostly just a show of like, well, this is our deal, but ultimately
Dick
they
measuring
figured out,
contest.
yeah, they figured out that if they can give you access to what you need and then you will have to
Mhm.
come to them with any of your findings anyway to gain any ground on any sort of point. So as long as you know that they are present and watching you, that's the intent of their interaction. So, which you do understand, Agent, which is part of my explanation. So
I
you
definitely,
do,
like, as they leave, like, I turn around and face Hemlock and just kind of roll my eyes a little, like, oh, dear God, locals.
Hemlock just shakes her head and big sigh.
well, it's interesting that you say that as locals, because knowing your actual jobs, Agent Neem probably does have a semblance of this. I don't know if Agent Hemlock does, given that you're U.S. Army. You probably don't.
It's
interact with
more
locals.
being in the behind the lines with Mist, and when there's always somebody who thinks they know better than the people whose job it is to know better.
Well, I think it's fair to say that you and Agent Neem would probably be on the same wavelength of trying to figure out how to turn them against each other. But I will say you do get Terry, who comes in. He looks to be a man in his 30s. Just doesn't really pay much mind to any of your credentials or anything else. Just grants you the access you need by bringing you a sign-in code and everything else. It's just a access, basically username and password for the time that you're there. I will say you do work fairly fast, and the thing that you do get, actually one of the things that Terry says, here's the file, and you open up the file. It's mostly information from the EPA and the DEQ as far as toxicology reports, things like that, toxins in groundwater, areas where the body was found. You do also see a video file. It has been renamed as Deputy's Dash Cam. And there's that seems to be an annotated video. So if you were to hit play, you do see that it is a much higher quality. It's mostly just describing the things that you see for the purpose of description. I will say though, and Agent Neem, you would be able to kind of get this idea, and I would say Agent Rosewater. The video here is a lot higher quality. So if you wanted to try and identify any of the people, you do have connections to the FBI that would be possible if you would like to try.
Yeah, no, I mean, definitely if, knowing this strange person that was involved in this, it's probably nothing for me to get a good screen grab of their face and send it off to figure out if they're in any database. Because I mean, that's a big lead, because this is apparently the thing that kind of started it all.
Yeah. So you do grab a clip of that face, and Agent Neem assists you with getting this over to. So the FBI has a gigantic database, basically, of people. It's way beyond anything that the state has, as far as its ability to identify individuals.
Yeah.
So if they've received clearance, it's not like people's pictures taken from the road. It's like if they've received any kind of clearance or signed up for anything that put them in a federal database, they're in this thing. So it's going to take a while for them to find out who that is, but you do send that off. So with where you're at right now, you've seen the video that you saw yesterday and weren't supposed to. You have a little bit more information about what's going on. But I will ask all of you, what would you like to do now? You can choose to stay in this room here. You can go talk to any of the people that you just spoke with before. You were told that you can go to the coroner's office. What would you like to do, and who wants to go where?
I do think it would make most sense for Rosewater to stay here and kind of act as the information hub for all of this. I can continue working through data, because there's other things we also wanted to look more into some of the extremist groups around here. I can easily do that here, especially having access to their systems and stuff. And then I wanted to do other things like install backdoors in their system, so when it is time, I can get rid of anything that might be incriminating. And I can just sort of be here for anybody who, when they go out and get their information, they can bring it back to me. We can continue building our murder board.
Sure. And they did bring you a whiteboard and a tack board as you requested
Hell
last
yeah.
time. There are Sharpies on the whiteboard. You have no clue as far as how, if they're dried out or not, but they're there. No string, though. You can't make a spider graph, unfortunately. You'll have to go find that, but, All right, excellent. So it sounds like you're setting up a hub of operations.
Yep.
What does everybody want to do now that you have kind of a base camp established?
Agent Sage would like to go to the coroner and try to get a look at the deputy's body.
Okay. Is anybody going with you?
Don't know.
Hemlock would go along to keep an eye on things with our baby going out in the field.
Okay.
I think unless I feel like from the files and stuff that I could get more information by actually talking to Smith and Fultus, the coroner seems like the next step.
Sure. Yeah, you haven't really spoken with them too much. You could definitely try and speak to them to get some more information out of it. They are, the investigator Fultus isn't, but Agent Smith is a federal employee, so they would kind of understand where you're coming from with things. But you're also welcome to go to the coroner's office. I will say, as you all get up and start to do things, Agent Rosewater is still putting together the files. I will say, for the sake of our storytelling, that are you going to see Agent Hemlock and Agent Sage off, or are you actually going with?
Are you asking me or are you asking Rosewater?
Asking Agent Neem, excuse me. Agent Rosewater is basically going to be locked in the nerd dungeon for a little while.
You know what? I'll see them off. I'm going to loop back around with these guys. And then maybe we pass that security place on the way in here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little bit interested in... I'm really struggling not to call Helena Podunk Town for no reason whatsoever, even though it's not actually a podunk town.
I will say, with your understanding, especially of people and societies and things like that, it is so having a security group wouldn't be that weird. Having a security group that shares the same area as a sheriff's department would be very strange, because that would imply that they have a closer working relationship than they should, because security are not supposed to be like that. They're not cops. That's not their function. So to put them this close to them is a little bit alarming. But as the three of you are walking out, there is a woman that stops you, Agent Neem. She looks to be a bit older, probably in her 50s. She's one of the just basically civilian workers that work there, probably data entry or something like that.
I need to know what Pullman had to say about this woman.
But she does pull you aside. She doesn't identify herself or anything, but she says, hey, you're with the FBI group, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So I don't know if they've told you yet, but Fred's wife, Christina, she's been acting a little bit weird, and I tried to tell the sheriff, but he told me to not worry about it. I was hoping that maybe somebody could go check on her or something. I think she might be having a tough time since, Fred's death. I didn't want to do I didn't want to do a wellness check and have them go and kick down her door or anything like that, or cause a huge scene.
Anything that has to be logged and reported, and then especially now in a time of grief, people act out of, they act a little differently than normal.
Yeah, I don't want to put her through any of that, but she was a friend of people here. She came by sometime, Fred, and I would really appreciate if somebody could go check in on her.
Sure sure thing. I'd be more than happy to do that. And can I give her your regards, Mrs.
Just tell her it's Stacy.
Stacy?
She'll recognize.
Thank you very much for coming to me with this. I know that it can be difficult having newcomers come in and everything, but we're just here to help.
Yeah, I know. And I know that the sheriff, he kind of looks around. He wasn't saying the nicest things before y'all got here. Something about overstepping jurisdiction or something. But I will tell you that we really appreciate the help. I mean, Fred was a good guy. It's sad to especially the way he went. We don't really have a whole lot of people in the area that are up to no good. It's not often that we lose officers to, especially like this. So
it's a shock.
It is, and I really appreciate it, and thank you again. I'm sorry. What was your name?
I'm Neem.
Neem. All right. Well, it's a pleasure speaking with you, Neem. I gotta get back to work. And she goes, definitely by your ability to being what you do in your day to day, she was very, very open to speaking with you. This is somebody you could talk to in the future who you now have built some amount of trust with because of your ability to work people. So, you now have a request from Stacy, the office worker, as well, to go and check on Fred's wife, Christina. So, so the two of you, Agent Hemlock and Agent Sage, Agent Neem was with you. It wasn't when you actually went out the door, but the two of you get out. You can take the car over to the coroner's office if you so choose. You can also have one of the sheriff's employees drive you there. But whatever you choose.
Sage, I think we should take our vehicle, because I think we should check out the where the video from the dash cam was taken out on Blue Cloud Road after as well.
Yeah, and can I ride in shotgun since Agent Neem isn't going to be in the car?
Yes, you're going to be the only other person you can sit up.
Okay. They just seemed really
I'll even
protective
give you
of that
the
spot.
aux cable.
Thank you.
Oh, well, that's what you think. So, Agent Neem, I want you to give me, let's see, what's going to be a good roll for this? Alertness. Go and give me an alertness roll, please.
Okay. I don't make it.
You don't make it?
No, the dice have turned on me.
Okay.
I got a 76 over my 60.
Okay, well, that's all right. You don't see the two of them go out into the car. Maybe in the back of your head, you're like, I bet somebody's taking my fucking seat. But no way to confirm that, so maybe you just need to bury that away for now.
Ugh, the back of my neck itches.
Exactly.
It's going to smell like...
Now you're going to have that awkward
dry
conversation.
shampoo.
Exactly. It's going to smell weird now. You're going to have some sort of conversation with somebody at some point when they try to take shotgun too. It's not going to be a good time. That potential could lead to potential, violence, but we'll get to that point. It's fine. All right. So the two of you begin your drive to the coroner's office. Before we check back in with you, Agent Neem, Agent Rosewater, you were just trying to pull information. Is that correct?
Yeah, and I think I'll strike up a bit of a rapport with Terry.
Sure.
Yeah, just kind of as two nerds who work in these kind of fields. And maybe he'll tell me things.
Okay. Go ahead and give me let's see. Let's see how your persuade goes, please.
My persuade is a 20. It's not great. But that is a 15.
Ooh, look at you go. All right. What sort of personality are you trying to put on for Terry? How are you getting them to be interested in you enough to sit there and speak with you? Like, they'll come and talk to you if they have to, because you're federal agents and they have some weird thought that could bring eyes on them. But what exactly do you do to make Terry want to stay around and talk to you?
I kind of turn on the nerdy girl thing of maybe he's got a pin or something I recognize, or maybe like passing by his office is the poster of a character I know, and I start up the conversation like that. Like, I don't start the conversation about anything work-wise. It is all just like, hi, you seen that new show? You seen that new movie? What'd you think?
All right, so he's gonna have 3 things on him that you're going to get to choose from, and we're going to go around to all the other agents who get to tell us what those 3 things are. Everybody gets to tell us one item that Terry has that would identify him as a nerd. Agent Neem,
Remember, this is 2017.
Yes. What are one of those items?
On his keychain that he has clipped to his pants, he has a D20.
Okay, I like that. Agent Sage, what's another one of them?
He's wearing a Captain America Civil War t-shirt.
Okay. Is it one that's like hidden under his work shirt, or is he just wearing it? Like, is it kind of like unbuttoned so you can kind of see what it is, sort of?
Yeah,
thing,
you can kind of see. It's like one of those t-shirts that comes out before the movie. So it is just the poster. And so you just see Captain America and Iron Man's forehead speaking out.
right here.
Excellent. You know, just trying to go you still have to wear the button-down shirt for work to look professional, but you know, you can have the first 3 unbuttoned and still
And
be
then you
decent.
just button them up if there's anything super, super important.
Exactly. And then Agent Hemlock, what's our last piece of nerd paraphernalia?
He is drinking his coffee out of a TARDIS mug.
Okay. Now that we have these 3 items, Agent Rosewater, which is the one that you immediately gravitate towards, and how?
I think it is going to be the TARDIS mug. So I'm going to start up a conversation about, the new Doctor, and if he's seen any of the new episodes, and if it is, what is like, because this one's so different than like Matt Smith was. Like, or how are you feeling it? Like, is this the good direction? Is this a bad direction?
2017 was actually mid of Capaldi's run.
Well, I mean, still, it's like a good thing. It's like we're like halfway through, so it's like, where do you think it's going? Like, what are they doing? Okay.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and roll a luck roll for you to see if that's even the one that he likes.
I mean, I was like, if he likes it, it's just like,
he is like, I prefer the 4th Doctor, but yeah, Capaldi's been fine. You can definitely tell that he has the 4th Doctor's scarf in his office somewhere.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
And I will commiserate with him and be like, I think he's just fine. Like, I definitely understand,
So you have managed to build a rapport and managed to get Terry to be more okay with talking to you. Before we go down the rabbit hole of what your conversation contains, Agent Neem, you have just spoken with Stacy. You have seen your car pull away. Seems like Agent Rosewater is hitting it off with the IT guy. What would you like to do?
I am gonna loop back around with Smith and Baltus to see if I can find, like, if there are any connections with Breckenridge security to like lay of the land kind of thing, but from the outsider's perspective.
Okay.
And then also see if I can't cage a ride with someone too.
Sure. Are you trying to do this in passing with the Baltus and Smith, or are you going to kind of address them both together? I guess is more my question. Is it supposed to be like approached in a friendly manner or an official?
I think I'm going to approach Smith in an official manner and Fultus in a friendly manner, because Smith seems open to that kind of relationship, and that's where she would be most comfortable, and I have no idea what's going on with Fultus.
Yeah, that's fair. So you do approach Smith, and she's looks like she's looking through some paperwork or something like that. She sees you coming over and says, Agent Neem, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Right. Listen, despite what the sheriff and, Fultus didn't really say anything, but despite what the two of them were talking about, I do appreciate you being a lot.
Hey, you know what? Like, we're never called out to any place that is in a good situation. So we're used to all kinds of reception. This hasn't been bad. I'm more interested to find out, like, obviously we've got the files, we've got your reports, but what's your personal take on this? Because from everything I heard, we can say, okay, groundwater contamination, but in 2 days?
You see her sip on her coffee, and she says, that's the part that's got me a little bit confused too. It's actually part of the reason why I've been sending so many files back to the Washington office. I mean, groundwater is the only thing that makes sense, right? I mean, the guy's body composition had a ridiculous amount of material in it. Certainly shouldn't be possible over the period of 2 days, but this is like what we have to go off of. I mean, I'm very intrigued by your proposal that this could somehow be, like, you saying there's a criminal element to this or something?
It certainly looks like it.
And she's a little bit excited by that, probably more than she should be. And she's like, well, do you there's part of me that's thinking, like, I want to get you as much information as possible. There's another part of me that's thinking, like, I should really, really contact my head office about this. Because if there's even the possibility that it's something criminal, we should probably have our investigators come out and take a look at it.
Well, I mean, that's what we're here for, right? Not to mention, just between you and me, I have seen some actually really good promotions come out of cases like this.
Yeah.
If you break it open, we put in our report, they're all about that interdepartmental cooperation now, aren't they?
I mean, they say that, but she's kind of looking around. You saying you could, like, get me, maybe put in, like, some sort of a good word with me or something? Because, like, I'll tell you what, I started in this organization because I really wanted to make a difference, but there's so much fucking office politics and bullshit, and I just don't really want to, like, I want to mess with that anymore, you know?
I can tell you with absolute honesty and sincerity that the FBI is always looking for good people with initiative.
She's definitely pleased at that prospect. There is environmental portions of the FBI. She could feasibly get something that would be useful. She says, all right, I'll make you a deal. You put in a good word for me, and I will help you to streamline the stuff that you guys want to do. Now, I will tell you, I ain't going to make a bullshit for you. You need to come to me with real stuff. But if we can, I'll make sure the sheriff doesn't, cause issues.
That's the best that I could ask for. And your cooperation will be noted to the right ears.
She's definitely pleased with such a prospect. And she goes on talking to you about just more about how she's not happy within her position. How, it was always her dream to be an environmental scientist and all this stuff. Anyway, as you are getting the complete history of Agent Smith and all of her hopes and dreams and her dream of being a ballerina and everything else, we're going to go back to Agent Hemlock and Agent Sage, who have now arrived at the county coroner. For you all and anybody else who hasn't seen a coroner's office before, it is pretty much exactly like every other government building. It is the least decorated thing you probably have ever seen. It's usually just brick or something. They're usually in the middle of nowhere because, you know, they're paid by the government. So they just usually stay where they are. Don't move. This building's probably been there for like 40 years. But yeah, you do get there. You go inside. You see that there is a woman sitting behind a desk. She looks to be in about her late 30s, early 40s. She has a pretty professional looking attire on. She does also have a lab coat over the top of it. The biggest things you're going to notice about this room is the tiling, which if you've been in any government building, it's the white tile with the speckled browns and blacks in it. You know, it's looks like it's supposed to look like marble or something, but it's definitely not. The smell that permeates the air in here is that of bleach, which you're housing dead bodies. So it's, you know, they're going to use something to make sure that that doesn't permeate everywhere. But as you enter in, she stands up and says, "Oh, are you two the FBI agents that we're going to come and speak with, or come and take a look at the stuff from the Jacobs? Is that right?"
Yes.
Says, "Okay. Well, they kind of gave me a quick rundown, said that you guys were with some incident response group, and told me it would just be easier to let you kind of do what you need to do. So I do have the files here, which she hands you the folder. She asks, are you going to need to see the body at all?"
Probably.
He says, "Okay. Okay, I'll just need you to sign in here, and I'll need to take your picture before I can let you back in the body. So it's just normal procedure."
Okay.
So she'll take your picture holding your badge with your name on it. This is going to go into a state filing system. So
Is it digital or Polaroid like?
digital? It's like
I'm noting it and sending a message to Rosewater.
it's like the DMV where they have the webcam on the computer. Yeah. That's pretty much exactly what it is. But again, they need to take documentation of who you are when you come in.
Right. That's what Sage was thinking, was like, Rosewater, get this out. But cool.
Okay. So you've got your file. You're waiting for about maybe 5 minutes before she comes back to you and says, "Okay, right through the door there to your left, there are some gowns and masks. Wear both of them. I'm sure you already know that. Latex gloves are right by the door as you step in. I will be right." She's like, "I will be right here," and you can see that she can see where you're going to be through the glass. So
Awesome.
As Sage walks towards where the body is, Hemlock will hang back for just a minute and be like, I hope your boss is doing okay, and it's honestly kind of scary to be getting sick right now with everything that's going on. Have you heard from him today?"
She says, he told me this morning that he wasn't feeling well. He usually checks in over the course of the day, but I haven't heard from him. And what time is it now?" She looks down. It's like about 11 o'clock. Usually I would have heard from him by now if he wasn't feeling well. He likes to, especially if y'all are coming, I would assume he would have said something, but no, I haven't heard from him yet. Do you need me to try and call him? Do you want me to get a hold of him?
No, if he's sleeping, let him sleep. I just wanted to check in and see if it was all good for you and that you're good here. Do you need anything? Agent Hemlock is not a people person.
Yeah, she looks at you. She's like, no. Agent Sage, as you enter into where the body is, That's when you hear the door, or Roger, Agent Hemlock hears the door open if you're still in the lobby. And Sergeant Eric Hayes steps through the door. But he doesn't like walk towards you. He just kind of stands near it.
Sergeant,
Agent Hemlock.
did you need something with us, or are you just checking in, see if anything new's been found?
Well, Sheriff told me to stick with you guys in case you need any help from, any contact within the Sheriff's Department.
That'll probably come in handy here in a minute. The video with the dash cam, any chance after this you could show us where that happened? We're just covering all bases to make sure that nothing was missed. You understand?
He says, sure, I'll take you in my cruiser.
All right. Well, and then Hemlock will walk back and gown up and everything
Sure.
to go in with Sage.
As you do enter in there, Hayes doesn't leave. You've gained a new friend. Maybe you didn't intend to, but he's going to be with you for probably a while.
As Sage is looking at the body, Hemlock will lean in and not like whisper, obviously, but just like, I think we should check in on the coroner. I think he might be infected.
Okay, great. Wonderful. I'll add that to the list.
So, Agent Sage, before you dive your hands into this body here, getting that nice mental image in your head of somebody going, shoulder or elbow deep into a body cavity, we're going to take a short break, which is a great time to have a snack. So we're going to take a short break here. We will be back in a moment, and we will continue our story. See you all then. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We are back from our break, so we are going to go ahead and step back into our episode 2 of Extremophilia. All right, everybody. As we left before our break, we had Agent Hemlock and Agent Sage beginning to do their observation of the body. We had Agent Rosewater, who has made a new friend in the sheriff's office. And we have Agent Neem, who has been, getting a good amount of information out of Agent Smith from the EPA. And that's actually where we will step back in here. Agent Neem, you and Agent Smith talk for a while. As far as usable information goes that you get out of her, there's not really too much. You know that the situation surrounding the video that you had seen before is weird. She doesn't really, she's seen that. She doesn't really understand how that's connected, but it is odd. You find out that the deputy did come back to the sheriff's department before going home that same day. They came back saying that somebody had vomited on them. The only reason that the EPA agent knows that is with the assumption that maybe this could be communicable in some way to know where they went, in the event that a quarantine needs to happen or something like that. So that's the information that you get out of Agent Smith, and then Agent Smith excuses himself. So now you are free to do what you like inside of the sheriff's department. You didn't get anything about the security group, by the way.
Cool. I'm gonna check in with Fultus just as a hey, how's it going? This is so weird, right?
Sure.
And also, mostly I'm angling to see if I can, weird to you that the security station is right here?
Sure. You want to address the investigator Fultus or just anybody about that?
I'm gonna address Fultus.
Okay. Fultus is not. So what you're going to see with Fultus is in the sheriff's office, speaking with the sheriff. So if you would like to go and speak with them, you can. However, the sheriff will be present during that conversation, and you're not really sure how they're going to receive you.
Not great. You know what? I'll back burner it for now, and then see if there is somebody from the massive amount of gossip that I got from Pullman, who I peg as good for giving me a ride to Christina's, and I'll just head over there.
Sure. So out of the information that you get, you can actually just go to, let's see, your contact was Eric, and Eric is gone. So you actually find, what is his name? I wrote it. Did I not write that one down?
I wonder if
I didn't write down?
Uriah is here.
Yeah, that's the one I was gonna go with. All right.
Neem has a great memory for names. Pooja, on the other hand, takes copious notes.
I mean, that works. All right, so you do find Patrol Sergeant Uriah Weiss, who is able to take you where you want to go. Uriah looks to be in about his mid-40s. He's decently fit. Looks like he works out about 4 days a week. Not any heavy weights or anything like that, but seems athletic enough. Probably is used to just keeping up the same thing that he did for his entirety, the time that he's been with the sheriff's department.
She went, straight out of high school where he played on the local football team.
Yeah, he was a basketball player, so he's not bulky in any way, but he could run. He could probably tackle somebody. That's about it.
Once he could tackle somebody once.
Yeah, he's a patrol sergeant, so he is out there normally, so he has to be somewhat capable of taking care of himself. But yeah, he says that he can take you wherever you need to go.
Fantastic. I just want to check in on Christina, Fred's wife. I know she's going through a real difficult time, and nothing official, nothing too intrusive. Just to pay my respects,
Yeah, that makes sense. The Vice says to you. He says, yeah, that's fine. I'll just need to check in with dispatch to where we're going to be going.
Absolutely.
So you see the patrol sergeant walk over to somebody who's sitting at one of the desks. You assume it's one of the dispatchers. Just gives them a piece of information, and then comes back to you and says, "Okay, let's go."
Great.
So you pile into the patrol car. He lets you sit up front. He kind of clears off some old coffee cups and stuff like that from the seat. And you begin your drive over to the Jacobs residence. As you are heading out, Agent Rosewater, you have a new friend here.
I do.
What sort of information have you been trying to get out of them during your conversation?
I think it is kind of a mix of try to do some like shop talk as to like systems and things like that, like you said you're the only one working on this, you use X kind of encoding, Y kind of
Mm-hmm. I will tell you that despite what everybody may think of Terry, Terry is he's going to be very interested that a pretty girl is talking to him and knows about computer stuff. Like, he is going to be...
I will compliment his firewalls.
I would say you could probably... He probably mentioned something about setting up a honeypot or something like that. Something... Ultimately, it's still used, but he talks about what all IT people talk about, which is how stupid end users are. He's not an investigator, so he doesn't know jack about any of these investigations outside of maybe the things that he's illegally looked at.
Yeah.
But
there might be the question of what is the weirdest thing you've seen? Slid in there at one point and just being like, it's just us. This is a safe space.
And
won't leave this room.
And with the fact that it's just you, does Agent Rosewater keep her phone on the desk or in her pocket?
It is on the desk face down, so it will vibrate when like a text comes through, and I can flip it over and take a look at it. But it's face down on the desk.
Is this your personal phone or the one that you were given?
This is my personal phone.
Your personal phone buzzes.
I will flip it over and just like hit the button to like turn on the screen to see like what it like if it's important.
It's your boyfriend, Simon. It's a check-in thing. There's lots and lots of hearts in the message. Harry does see this too. You're not really sure how that's going to go, but he did see it well enough, the preview at least.
Yeah. And, you know, and it's a check-in, you know, like, sort of text back, like, while continuing to talk with Terry, you know, kind of usual. It's just, you know, things are, you know, the text back will be working hard on unfucking the systems. More boring than I expected. Miss you too, with several heart emojis.
Harry is definitely affected by this, but tries to hide it, but is doing about as well as, you know.
Well, I'm not like doing it directly in front of him. I'm like one.
Yes, but he is a admittedly a lonely, sad person who doesn't do the proper thing.
I don't want him to know that I think his systems are fucked, but you know, if he thinks I have a boyfriend and he knows it's not the worst.
It was more so the fact that you were stating that the systems were fucked, and he probably assumes that that's his. But anyway, it doesn't really change much about your interactions.
Yeah.
It's mostly the fact that somebody has seen it. And so you start speaking with Terry more and more. As far as the case goes, you're not really getting much. Terry does divulge to you, though, that a piece of information that is going to be helpful to you, which is, because he thinks that he can tell you this, is that a lot of the senior level staff does not have multi-factor authentication set up on their logins because they refuse to put them on their phones. Which
that is definitely helpful for everyone.
In nerd speak means it's probably going to be real easy to hack them.
Yeah, I can log in as somebody, and because there's no two-factor, nothing to verify that I'm me.
Mm-hmm. So you, through talking to him and through getting him to like you, you have engineered a way that you have a door into this system that you could do things to, because as you know, part of your mission is to destroy evidence, which we'll cross that bridge when we come to the reason why some elderly member of the staff has suddenly gone through the SharePoint and annihilated, you know, tons of information from theirs as well as from the backup somehow. So
that's their problem at that point.
That's
not
true.
My problem.
Mm-hmm. It's fine. Who cares if you've destroyed somebody's life? It's fine. So
look, I'll find the one who's the worst here, and I will ruin their life. The one who's like, women shouldn't be in law enforcement. I'll find that one.
I was going to say the only person whose judge of character you have so far is Jason, who divulged all that information to Agent Neem. So that's just going to go off of who he doesn't like the most.
I mean, that's fair. You know, who does Jason not like the most?
There was the one person he talked all that shit about that I'm sure Agent Neem will divulge to you.
Yeah, I mean, if they don't have two-factor authorization, and I know these things about them, fuck it. You don't become a black hat hacker by being nice.
This is true. So you do have your information now. Agent Hemlock and Agent Sage, you are looking into this body. Agent Hemlock, probably less so, because do you have any medical training, Agent Hemlock?
I do have a decent amount of first aid to help out, that we were made to learn before going behind enemy lines. So I'm not a complete noob, but I'm also not used to autopsies.
Yeah, I was going
to say... I'm just used to making the bodies dead, not examining why.
With your experience, I'm sorry to say, but I don't think you're going to be able to save them. It's pretty much about as far as you get in this scenario. You're not really sure what's, like... As far as what you're looking at, you could probably identify anatomy a little bit. But as far as being able to really like get in there, not really. First aid is mostly like the people
Yeah.
are still alive and you keep them that way, sort of thing.
Yo.
Yeah.
So probably safe to say you're probably looking around a bit more. And what you find, Agent Sage, your medical skill is really, really high. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So because your medical skill is so high, and because you are not in a situation that is stressful, I am not going to make you roll for this. What you are going to pull out of this information here is you remember back to the information about the gut flora being different, which admittedly is mostly a microscopic thing. You wouldn't really be able to tell that. However, you can certainly tell it on this because the actual muscular tissue of the stomach is different than it's supposed to be. There's a lot more muscular fiber around it, like almost to the point where you can mistake it for the heart as far as the amount of musculature that's present here. There is a bag too that was the contents of the contents of Deputy Jacob's stomach at the time of passing. There is where you are going to start to get into things that are a little bit more strange, because this was not a piece of information that were provided before. This would have been something the coroner would have told you specifically, because they're only going to go off of beginning toxicology and everything else like that. They would need to verify all of this. But what you get is the stomach has had a large amount of water in it that seemed to have elements of zinc and magnesium and things like that present within it. There are nickels in here. There is 2 cell phone batteries. There are some shell casings, like spent shell casings. And they weren't really sure how to identify it. It mostly just comes across as dirt and rocks, but that's also listed in there. So at the time of death, Deputy Jacob's stomach had a variety of contents to it. So that is what you get out of this. And I will say that I would like, after all of this experience, I would like you to roll stability for me, please.
Okay.
Because you know what's happening right now. Well, you don't know, but it's definitely not normal.
I passed with a 61 out of 85.
Okay. So you're going to lose 1. And what I would call on you to think at this moment is, as you are looking at this musculature and everything else, and looking at the contents of the stomach and trying to wrap your brain around because you've heard of conditions where people will eat objects that are not edible. That is not that unheard of, but you definitely haven't seen the gut flora change to this amount, nor have you seen the actual anatomy of a body change to this amount. And there is a bit of a panic that goes through you, because you've seen cadavers before, and you've seen plenty of people on grading tables and everything else like that, and they've never looked this way. But you know in your head that no matter what your future holds for you, anytime you look into another chest cavity, you're going to see this first, regardless of what's there. So, Agent Hemlock, as you see Agent Sage kind of get a 1,000-yard stare and stop moving their hands as much, you do also see out of the corner of your eye that Anna from the front desk picks up a phone. And she speaks into the receiver for a moment, and it looks like her facial expression changes. And then you see the sergeant walk over and start speaking to her, and she looks concerned as she takes the receiver and puts it down to her hand and speaks to the sergeant. You're not really sure what they're saying. They seem to be talking about something, and Anna looks concerned.
Are you good here for just a minute, Sage? I think something's happening with a phone call, and I'm a nosy ass bitch, so I'm gonna go find out what it is.
Okay.
And I'll walk out, pull down the mask, and just be like, I couldn't help but notice that something seems to be the matter. Do we have another problem on our hands, or is this more personal? I want to be sure that we're on top of everything.
Sergeant isn't the one who speaks to you. It's the front desk worker, Anna, and she says, it's Corner Halsey. He's checked into the hospital.
What are his symptoms?
They didn't say. They said something about flu-like symptoms. But he's currently in the hospital.
As a safety precaution, because this did happen after he was doing the autopsy on Jacobs here, perhaps make sure they take extra quarantine steps, just to be safe. I don't think anything's terribly wrong, but you can never be too careful.
Are you going to insinuate that the body is the cause of the sickness?
I'm going to insinuate that there is... It's more insinuating that there is something weird happening with more than just this one body.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a safety precaution because of what I know from the other case.
Okay. So, what I will say is, and I will let you do this if you want to do this. If you tell Anna is going to freak out because Anna doesn't know of any of these connections. Their job is to look at the body. They know nothing about the rest of the case. So if you want to say that to her, you're more than welcome to. As far as the side effects that will have, you'll have to find out later. Telling the sergeant that wouldn't be as unheard of. It's not going to cause a panic, but it may make the sergeant... I would
probably then, if I see her panicking, like talking, like showing more concern, I would pull the sergeant aside and be like, maybe add a little bit of quarantine on the body, let me start that part over.
No, it's okay. I will tell you too here for free. They don't know that this is communicable.
Yeah, no.
There is no reason for them to even think that.
Yeah.
So if
I will stop talking to Anna at the point of trying to remember what I said now.
No, it's okay.
Goldfish braid. Once I start talking about the possibility of maybe a quarantine because he had just been working on the body, I will kind of pull the sergeant off to the side and tell Anna, why don't you take some time and go and visit the coroner? Just a friendly face from the door might be good for his morale. I hate it when I'm alone in the hospital when I'm sick.
You're saying this to the sergeant?
To Anna.
To Anna, okay. She'll look a little bit concerned at the fact that you are as concerned as you are about this because, it didn't seem that weird before, and it's definitely more weird now.
I'm not a people person.
She will say like, okay. Are you all done? I can't leave you in here.
We should be finishing up here shortly. Let me just talk to the sergeant real quick, and then I'll go and check and see how much longer Agent Sage will be. And then I'll pull the sergeant off to the side and be like, with what we know from the other incident, it is possible that this is communicable. So I could go to the hospital and ask them to quarantine, but it might come better from a local.
Mm-hmm.
Just extra precautions, just in case this is what we're looking at being the same as the last case, and we don't want it to spread if it is an issue.
Okay. So I will tell you, it's fine if you want to tell them that. And if you're okay with it happening this way, by telling Sergeant Hayes that, Sergeant Hayes doesn't know that this is communicable. Actually, nobody does outside of the four of you. So by doing that, it will cause the sergeant to call the sheriff, who may call in other help from other agencies. So, which means that the CDC could become involved. Or any other, or the investigative branch of the EPA, or the local FBI.
It's the weighing it of it spreading farther and not giving shit away.
It's fine if you want to tell him. I will let you do that. It just means that you will have extra leads that you have to clean up and people you have to outsmart.
Got it. I won't say anything about quarantine then. All right, we'll back up.
No, it's okay. It's fine. Trust me. I just don't want to put a gotcha in a game. I've never ever want to do that. So I want to present you with as many facts as I can.
All right, let's start over from when I start talking.
Sure, that's fine.
As I walk up and Anna tells me what she tells me, I'll just be like, well, it might be a good thing to check in on him and just make sure he's okay. It's never fun being alone when you're sick, and we'll take a look in on him as well, just to, cross our T's, dot our I's. If it is the water that is causing this heavy metal poisoning, we want to make sure that it's not affecting anybody else other than Jacobs.
Okay. She nods, and she's obviously concerned for the coroner, but not panicked, at least by anything that you said. And she will say, "Okay, I'll need for you guys to head out before that happens. Though, are you almost done?"
I'll go and check in with Agent Sage right now. Sergeant will be ready to move on as soon as Agent Sage is finished up. And very awkwardly, we'll walk back.
That's fun.
To Agent Sage.
Sure. All right. So, as you're walking back, we will flip back to Agent Neem, who is driving towards the home of Christina Jacobs. It's a bit of a drive. You don't get too much information out of the patrolman. Uriah. Excuse me. Thank you. You don't get too much information out of Uriah outside of the things you already knew about the case. Uriah tells you about the interaction with Fred after he came back that night, how rapidly this disease seemed to take over. Talk about the weird run-in with the random person out in the middle of the wilderness, sort of thing. Nothing new out of the conversation, though, but you do end up pulling up to the Jacobs residence.
Do you want to pay your respects as well, or?
Uriah says, or looks at you, says, "I don't know how she'll react to somebody in a sheriff's uniform. If you want to go speak with her, that's fine, but I'll wait right here if you need help."
That makes perfect sense. And I'll just go up and, knock on the door. Or ring the doorbell. I suppose people actually have doorbells.
Yeah, it's all good. You ring the doorbell, and you hear somebody shuffling towards the door. And a woman opens the door. She seems to be early 30s. She has dirty blonde hair. She is wearing jeans and a t-shirt. She has a sweatshirt, kind of like a zip-up hoodie that's draped around her. And she says, yes, hello, can I help you?
Oh, Mrs. Jacobs, my name is Neem, and I came to offer my condolences, pay my respects. Stacy told me that things have been hitting you pretty hard. So I just wanted to, do the right thing.
Christina looks genuinely confused as she says to you, pay your respects for what?
Well, with Fred's death.
She's even more confused. She's like, who?
Okay.
I will say, as you are speaking with her, are you just standing in the doorway, or?
Yeah, I wouldn't try to force my way inside.
Okay. You start to get this smell of, are you familiar with how black mold smells?
A little too familiar.
Okay. So that, not strong, but that is coming off of her a little bit.
Mrs. Jacobs, do you maybe want to get some fresh air? We can walk and talk.
She says, no, I'm fine.
Because you don't seem to actually be as fine as you could be.
No. I'm fine. Sorry, who are you?
My name is Neem, ma'am.
Why are you here?
You know what? Don't worry about it. I'm going to leave you to your day.
Okay. And she starts to back away from the door.
And can I see anything from the doorway?
She's not trying to hide anything inside. Looks like a hallway.
Okay.
Doesn't look like there's nothing immediately alarming about anything that you've seen in this residence, at least from this vantage point in this residence.
I'm going to go back out to the car and Vice, I need you to be, this is not politic, this is not polite, but I am asking in all seriousness.
Okay.
Do y'all have a major drug problem here?
Who doesn't? Not major. It ain't everywhere. But, there's some people that... Like what? What are you talking about?
Because I just went up to that woman to offer her my condolences, and she did not know what I was talking about.
He looks over at the house.
And did not know her husband's name.
Well, that's probably nerves, right? As far as I know, Fred was, her world.
I have seen nerves. I've seen grief take a lot of different forms. That woman had no idea what I was talking about and couldn't remember what was going on in the conversation from one second to the next. And I understand that some people, in their grief, might turn to some pharmaceutical methods of coping.
Why, you saying that she's on drugs because she's sad?
I'm saying she's on drugs because not only is she not sad, she does not know what is happening in this world.
Uriah's... He's not offended, but he's also trying to put things together in a way that makes sense to him. And he's like, listen, she just lost her husband of, like, they've been together for 10 years. And, you know, if she wants to seek some outside help for getting through that, who am I to,
I am not casting judgment here. What I am saying is that it's easy to go too far when you're emotionally raw.
Well, sure, but she ain't got no record. She ain't got no record of use. Both of them. I mean, obviously Fred was clean, but she ain't ever had problems with, and Fred's never mentioned anything to me, and we worked together for years.
In which case, she's even more susceptible to something like an overdose. Because people who don't know what they're doing, easy to take too much.
You think she's in danger?
I'm concerned. And I think, because I don't want to stain her name, I don't want to stain Fred's memory for anybody, and I don't want to get her in trouble when she's been through a lot, that maybe if we just take her to the hospital, get her checked out, make sure that she's not in imminent danger of keeling over in that house by herself. None of us want that on our conscience.
Sure. I mean, we can't. I know what we can do, but I don't know. It just doesn't feel right just taking her out of the house. I mean, she ain't raving and running all over the place or threatening to, do something to herself or anything else like that.
I mean, it is.
Hard.
We are only looking out for her well-being here. And
Okay.
even more so that we don't want to get a bunch of people involved, go through a bunch of official channels that's going to leave a real big paper trail that'll haunt her for years to come. You and I both know how that can go. And as her friend, as Fred's friend, I'm just putting that option out there that maybe as a friend, taking care of his widow seems like the right thing to do.
Yeah, it does make sense. Well, where do you want to take her? You want to take her to the there's a place or they'll hold you for 72 hours. You talking about taking her to there or to the hospital?
No, because they gotta, when you do an involuntary check-in and all of that, that's a giant paper trail too. I figure we take her to the hospital, say, hey, she's feeling under the weather, let's run some tests. That way it all gets covered under HIPAA.
Sure. Let's see if we can get her to go with us.
Okay.
And the two of you will go back up to the door. I won't make you RP it because it's not that difficult. You can just, after you've spoken with her enough and from your experience with people, if this person's on drugs, you could probably just direct them through leading questions. So you probably say something along the lines of, wouldn't you feel a little bit better if you got checked out? Or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she...
to be very clear, I don't think she's on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a big-ass problem, but also this gets her out of the house so that we could search it clandestinely later.
True.
If she dies in there and then a bunch of people have to go in and that leads to a whole other can of worms, I am just going with the most plausible explanation for the benefit of this dude.
Absolutely. So she does let you take her into the cruiser and you begin your drive towards St. Peter's Hospital, which is the main hospital in the area, which ironically is also where our coroner has been checked in at. So, as you head on your way, Agent Rosewater, we are going to finish with you. So, or Agent Sage and Agent Hemlock, the two of you finish up your autopsy information. You haven't gleaned much else from your search of the body. Outside of the things that you already have. And Anna locks up after you. Sergeant Hayes hasn't left you. You've kind of put together that his job is to watch you. It's not anything else. He might tell you that it's, to make it so you have a branch of the sheriff's department around. That's probably what he'll tell you. But you'll know, well, at least Agent Hemlock will know that that's not what he's doing. The two of you wanted to go check out the road. Is that correct?
Yeah, go check out the road. I will have sent a text message that isn't like super obvious because obviously, and just be like, coroner sick in hospital, could be back.
Okay.
And I'll text you back that widow. Very weird bringing her to the hospital as well. Meet you there? Question mark.
We're gonna go check out site of weird incident and then meet you there.
Copy.
Excellent. So it seems like everybody has the direction that they're going. And as you all head out, there's going to be two things that happen. All of you are going to get two messages. First is from the FBI's persons database. Presumably you tagged some way for you all to receive this because it would make more sense. The ID comes back. Dr. McCaslin works for the Benthic company, which is, from what you can glean from the information, they are responsible for a bunch of pharmaceutical drugs. They also do a lot of testing and things like that, trying to find new pharmaceuticals and things like that. Shows you his record as far as criminality goes. Clean. That's really it. It just shows you his name, where he lives, where he works. And then, after that, you get a message from your handler. And it states simply, body cannot stay there. Take to drop.
Well, Sage, how do you feel about a body heist?
Great.
And after you get that message, which Agent Rosewater, you also received all these, as is Agent Neem. We are going to shift away from the four of you, and we are going to see Dr. McCaslin at his desk in his office. He is staring off into the distance. His desk is modest. Got a couple monitors. He's got some little, notepads and things scattered around. A couple little pieces of fungus preserved in, like resin. Just little pieces to look like for decoration and whatnot. And he just stares. Then we see him get up and start walking towards the exit of the building. As we see him walking through the hallways, we get a better look from this vantage point of the inside of the Benthic company. There are guards walking around the areas, people milling about. Some of them say hi to the doctor, which he doesn't respond to. Frankly, he doesn't say anything. And then he walks out the front door, down to the parking garage, out of the parking garage, and just starts walking south. And as he is walking south, that is where we are going to finish for this evening. So, with that, we are going to close for the evening. So we want to thank you all so much for coming by tonight and joining us in episode 2 of Shane Ivey's Extremophilia. We hope that you enjoyed spending time with us here. You can find episode 1 on our YouTube as well as in your favorite podcast app. If you really liked what we did and you would like to see more of Queen's Court Games Productions, you can find that also on our YouTube. I would also recommend checking out our Patreon, where we have an extensive list of different pieces of artwork, special episodes, behind the scenes features, all sorts of really neat stuff. And so before we close here, I would like to go around and give everybody a chance to give some shout outs. Let's go ahead and start with our very own Agent Neem.
Hello. I am Pooja. I have been playing Agent Neem. Much more of a face character than I am in real life. And you can find me on the internet as Forgotten Saves if you want to see photos of my cats, because that's 90% of the content. Unless you're following me on Blue Sky, in which case I also yell about books a lot. Because that is the other half of my personality. If you want to hear me play more TTRPGs, you can find me on the Happy Jacks RPG back catalog, or the 12-Sided Stories back catalog, or depending on when this comes out, might be in a couple of other Queen's Court productions. Bite-sized snippets.
And we are happy to have you in all of them. And next, let's go ahead and go with Agent Hemlock.
Hi, I'm Killian. I've been playing Agent Hemlock, who is very much not a people person, and I'm very much a people person, so it's been weird. You can find me over on R&R Production on Twitch for Rainbows and Razorblades Productions, where I run a cyberpunk game and play and run in lots of other little things here and there. You can also catch me over on Spectrum TTRPG for Power Rangers. Other than that, happy to be here. You can find me as Darcy Realish all over the internet.
And we are very happy to have you here. And next we have Agent Sage.
Hello, I'm Abbigail the Nerd, playing Agent Sage, and you can find me on everything under Abbigail the Nerd. That's Abbigail with 2 B's. And aside from this, you can just find me on Wednesdays at World Tree Quests, the Twitch channel, where we play a post-apocalyptic 5e game, and it's very fun.
Excellent. And finally, last but certainly not least, Agent Rosewater.
Hello. I am Aubrey, and you can find me everywhere on the internet at the Mad Queen or Mad Queen Cosplay, depending on the site you're on. You can also catch me doing a bajillion things over here at Queen's Court Games. I do a lot of games, and honestly, if you're watching something and you hear music, I probably at least had a hand in some of it, if not all of it. And you can also catch me over on Goblets and Gays, for whatever we have planned post Blood of Kings, and more likely than not, when this comes out, Last of Eden's Vices will have started, so go check that out as well.
Excellent. And I have been your handler, Alex, for this evening. Again, we appreciate you all so much for joining us, and please come by next time for episode 3. Have a good night. Okay.